to find out the big lie by using a cognitive technique that I will unleash later in this workbook. Things are about to start getting really exciting. So why is it that you don't understand your big lie? First, big lies live at the subconscious level. Therefore, you are not aware that they are even there. It affects every decision you make and how you interpret every thought you think. It affects the way you feel when you have a thought. You don't even know if it is real or not, but you know that your intuition is telling you that you should really pay attention and be careful. It really affects everything that goes through your mind. Second, you probably don't spend much time analyzing your most deep-seated fears. On the other hand, I would guess that you do try to avoid thinking about them. We rarely tell others what our real fear truly is, for a bunch of reasons. You generally feel different than other normal people in this way. Possibly, you feel really vulnerable about this issue and don't want to be viewed as weak. Maybe you think you would be judged as crazy if you were to divulge this secret to a friend or family member. So how did you, as a person, wind up with OCD? In future videos, I will explain briefly how you came to experience OCD and how you maintained it over your life. You will learn 5 different reasons why you have been honored to suffer from OCD. These reasons include the neurological theory, biological theory, behavioral theory, cognitive theory, and of course the perfect storm. By having a simple understanding of these 5 causes of OCD, you will be better prepared to understand how to beat your OCD later in this workbook. Being aware of your brain's booby traps is really critical for you to beat OCD. OCD is a really sneaky adversary because the harder you try to escape from anxiety and worry, the worse it gets until you feel so horrible you just hate to exist. I will briefly and simply show you the big 5 emotional players in OCD. These big 5 players dominate emotional thinking and control almost everything that passes through it. They are the equivalent of the sheriff, the mayor, the chief of police, and the city manager of a local community. So who are these big 5 players of emotional thinking that are allied with OCD for total brain domination? They are 1. The 10 cognitive errors. 2. The 8 OCD beliefs. 3. Negative core beliefs. 4. Core fears. And 5. The need for certainty. You will learn much more about these 5 players in coming videos. Step 3. Learn everything you can about proven treatment solutions. Before I explain all of the different techniques you will use to defeat OCD, I first want you to focus on the common thread of all effective treatments for OCD. The most common thread for all effective treatments for OCD seems to be based on the 2 main concepts of emotional thinking versus rational thinking, and cognitive and emotional flexibility versus rigidity. The main idea of this book hit me like a bolt of lightning when one of my OCD clients during one of our psychotherapy sessions together started crying. I remember her telling me that she didn't understand what the primary goal of our treatment was and how confused she felt. It really bothered me that I was offering her all of these powerful exercises and techniques to help her battle her OCD. She seemed to be so overwhelmed by the diversity of treatment. I was confused and upset that maybe my treatment plan was too complex and should just focus on 1 or 2 main concepts instead of focusing on numerous techniques and strategies. Then it hit me. 30 minutes later in that psychotherapy session, I needed to make the focus of treatment simpler and easier to think about. I had to help her see what the 2 main goals of her treatment were regarding all of her numerous obsessions and compulsions. I showed her that all of these different treatment exercises and strategies only had 2 common objectives in mind. First, you must learn to think more logically and rationally instead of thinking emotionally and instinctively. We must learn to move away from emotional thinking towards logical thinking. I will show you the techniques and coping skills to master this important concept in future videos. Second, you must learn to become more cognitively and emotionally flexible. You must learn to accept cognitive diversity. You then gain cognitive flexibility. You must learn to accept emotional diversity. You then gain emotional flexibility. You must learn to move away from trying to stay calm or trying to stay in control and move towards trying to get anxious and losing control. This paradox is the solution. You will soon understand much more completely when you open your mind to the secrets of OCD. So why is anxiety terrible? Whatever situation is anxiety producing now will soon become routine and peaceful. That is called habituation, or human development, or maturity in psychology. OCD finds a few situations in life and tells you you must be anxiety-free and completely confident. OCD tells you that you are vulnerable in that situation and must be extremely careful and alert for danger. We then become more sensitive to any anxiety in these situations, and we become susceptible to any hint of uncertainty or any feeling not deemed perfect. We have learned to move away from certainty and black and white thinking. This way of thinking isn't your fault. We are like this because of the way our brains developed over millions of years ago when we were hunted by stronger and faster animals and men from unfriendly tribes. We now live in a new age, unfortunately, while possessing million-year-old brains.